Hey, this feels like coming home.
Go,
This is so
Jenna.
exciting. So obviously today is all about focus, flow, and productivity. How many of you feel like you are professional multitaskers? Like give you a million things and like you can manage it. The busier you are, the better you are. You're the people that can like do 5 things at once, and your spouse or your partner says, "Were you even listening to me?" And you can repeat back exactly what they were saying. And one of the things that when I was thinking about like, okay, what does the world need? Like, what do we need right now? Is that we are finishing our days, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, but tell me if you're feeling this way too, where you're finishing a day and you've worked so hard and you're exhausted and you're like, wait, what did I actually accomplish? Like, I feel like I got nothing done. I actually feel more overwhelmed after working all day than actually getting things moving forward. And when I think about this last year, especially as we approach the year mark of when the world shifted and everything changed as we knew it, I'm thinking about how so many of us are wearing so many hats. For me, I operate as a family unit. My husband and my daughter are home all the time. I have a dog under the table right now who I'm praying she doesn't bark. And we're constantly being pulled in so many directions and wearing so many different hats. And when I first became a mother, one of the biggest challenges for me was feeling like I was constantly half in on everything, whether that was work or motherhood. I would be checking emails while I was nursing my baby, or, I'd be up in the middle of the night and then I'd start thinking about work when I was holding my child. And I realized that focus is so important, not just for us to get more done, because guess what? We're not efficiency machines. Our worth is not found in our output, but to feel accomplished and to finish our days like resting our heads and saying, well done. You did something today that was awesome, and you moved forward and you progressed in your life. Now, one of the things that was super interesting, and a study done by the American Physiological Association Cognition, they performed this on people trying to perform more than one task. And they realized that our mind and our brain are not naturally designed to perform in this way. And it can actually cost us. So when we are trying to multitask, it can actually cost us 40% of our productive time. So when I became a mother and I made the decision that I wanted to nurse my daughter, and that was going to be part of my job for the next year of my life, I realized that I had these very short windows of time to work. And maybe you can relate to that, whether you're in a 9 to 5 or you're working from home or you're building up your side hustle, you get these really small windows of time where you need to move the needle forward. And so if you think about the fact that multitasking can actually take away 40% of our productive time, we've got to figure out ways that we can actually focus so that at the end of the day, we're saying, man, I got so much done today, or I feel really capable, or I'm feeling really confident that I was productive. So we first have to kind of break down some of the lies. One of the things that I always say, and it's not my own quote, it's someone else's, but it's busy is not a badge of honor. For so long, when you run into someone at the store, or if you're sitting down with a friend and you're like, how are you? And you're like, oh, I'm so busy. We started to like wear that and confuse that as something to be honored, that being busy meant that we must be successful, or that we must be doing big things, or that we must have found this secret. But being busy and being productive are 2 entirely different things. And I really want to make sure that we establish that difference, because 1, it's going to change how we show up in our own lives, but it's also going to change how we destigmatize the whole act of hustle culture and busyness. I am very focused on lifestyle in the sense of wanting to be a present mother. I want to be a great CEO. I want to be a change maker and an impact leader. But when I'm working, I want to be productive. I don't want to be busy. I was recently just talking to my cousin, who's a single mother of 3, who had to work from home and also homeschool her children all at the same time. And I was like, I don't know how you got it done. And she's like, it's crazy how productive you can be when you know you only have a limited amount of time. And the thing that we tend to forget is that our time is a non-renewable resource. It's something that we can't go out, we can't earn more of, we can't get it back. And so I walk through life looking at time as my currency. And so when I think about time being my currency, it's super important that the ways that I'm spending it are indicative of the life that I want and the work that I'm doing. So the first thing is called a brain dump. Okay. I know it doesn't have a fancy word, but this literally has changed my life in so many ways. So have you ever felt that you have so many ideas swirling in your head? You're so overwhelmed that you don't even know how to take any action. It's almost like we're paralyzed in inaction because there's so many things we're trying to remember, so many things we know we need to do. So whenever I start to feel overwhelmed, which I'm going to be honest, even this week I was feeling this way, what I did is I opened up a blank document or took out a blank piece of paper and I wrote down every thought that was in my head. Like I almost imagine, like close my eyes and imagine the thoughts just pouring out of my head through my pen or through my keyboard. And they can be the most random thoughts. So it could be like, I need to book a pediatrician appointment for my child. I need to make sure this email gets responded to. I need to make this in my funnel and I need to work out, like whatever it is, it's like these things that are like living in our head that are almost like bogging us down. And so brain dumps are not meant to be pretty. They're not necessarily practical, but they're this way to release these thoughts from your brain and trust that they are safe. So if I ever wake up in the middle of the night and there's something on my heart or there's something weighing on me or there's something I'm even losing sleep over, I take the time to just really quickly write it down. I remember my grandpa always had a pad of paper by his bed and I never understood it. And he's like, my best ideas come in the middle of the night. But for me, when I can release that thought and say, okay, I know you safely exist here. I don't need to think about you until I'm ready to come back to you. It has been such a game changer for me. I think that a lot of times we worry that we're going to forget something. And so we almost keep these thoughts living in our brain as a means of like, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. But when we bog our brain down so much with all of these don't forget thoughts or all of these random things that we know we could take care of, not maybe now, but later, we're inhibiting our ability to think creatively, to think positively, to generate new ideas. So one of my team members, Kylie, she said that she does this every Sunday. So if you get the Sunday scaries, if Monday approaching kind of freaks you out and you're like, man, I'm about to start this new week and I have so much on my plate and I don't know if I can get it done. What she does is she drops everything onto a list or a document, or even we have like an organizational tool that we use inside of our company called Monday. It's basically a project management software, but basically she's like, I break down everything that's in my brain and I assign each task to a day of the week. And what she said, it's great reassurance when I see a stack of tasks or projects that give me that overwhelmed, like I have so much to do feeling. And when I see that they actually can fit into my week and that I have plenty of time to accomplish them. So one of the biggest things to remember is this doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be a bulleted list. It can literally be just releasing these thoughts from your mind to free up your energy and your time and your brain space to think about other things. And so brain dump is one of the best things you can do. And if you work with a team or if you have a spouse or a partner, sharing that brain dump can sometimes help people say, wait, I can help with that. Or, oh, you're worried about that? Let me take care of that. And so it's also a gentle way to learn how to start asking for help or to let people in when you are overwhelmed. I will share this with my husband sometimes because he is like the homemaker. He does the cooking and the cleaning. He watches our child. He's amazing. And so sometimes it's like the littlest things are driving me crazy, like sending the check out to this person or things. And he's like, I can do that for you. And so it's a great way to also learn how to ask for help, which a lot of times we're really bad at.
This is something that I've practiced for about the last 4 years, and it's been very, very helpful for me. Here it is. Daily goals done by one, right? Just write it down below. Hashtag done by one. Done by one. What I want you to do is every morning fill out your high performance planner. Know what you need to focus on and get done that day. And then ask yourself, if I had to get this done by 1 p.m., how would I do it? If I only got to work until 1 p.m., and I know some of you only do work till 1 p.m. because we got a lot of extraordinary, successful people in this community who, you work your mornings, you take your afternoons off. I get it. I appreciate you too. But for those of you who have not achieved that yet, okay. Let's think about it. Let's ask this question. If you only had Let's imagine the day only went till 1 p.m. Obviously, you couldn't get everything in. So what do you have to focus on? If you're going to have done by 1, what do you have to focus on? The major priorities and the needle-moving activities. Write it down. The major priorities of the day and the major needle-moving activities done by 1. That's what I do. And people are like, how does he get so much done? I'm probably not doing any more than anybody else. It's that every day, though, the major priorities and the major needle-moving activities done by 1. Write it down. Major priorities, major needle-moving activities done by 1. Then, guess what? It leaves the whole afternoon to all the randomness of life, right? Oh, I got to take a call? Great. Guess what? I don't take any calls till the afternoon. Why? I set that up so that I can make sure that I focused on the morning being dedicated towards moving my life and my business forward. That was my progress check. That's what I focus on. It's like, did I do what is necessary this morning? Before I took random calls from other people, asking me things, pitching me things, interviewing me on things. Now, some of you say, well, that's just not possible, Brendon. I got to get the kids up, get them to school, come back, check my email, respond to everybody else. And I'm like, no, you need to do your job and get it done by 1. The major needle-moving activities that are your job, get it done by 1. You got to reorient the day. Now, people say, well, Brendon, what is 1? I said, well, 1 is kind of arbitrary, isn't it? Because if you got it done by 2, would that be equally good? Yes. But the done by 1, because it rhymes, it sticks in your brain a little bit, right? You guys like this? It's like done by 1 mentality allows me to move ahead faster, because I only have till 1 o'clock to get my major needle moving activities. So every day by 1, the major things that had to get done, that I had to do, I've either got them done or significantly along the way. And that's what's important. But many people aren't doing that. You know what you're doing? You're spending so much time reacting to everybody else in the morning that you're not doing the major things that were on your plate that you were supposed to do. And that is why I know without a question in my mind that to double the progress of this group, Team HPX, we can do it, guys. We really can do this. We can double your progress if we can help you adopt this mindset of done by 1. Figure out what are the major priorities of this day and what are the major needle moving activities. Now, I always get asked, what's the difference between the two, Brendon? What's the difference between a priority and like a needle moving activity of my life or my business? Okay, let's talk about priorities. Maybe your priority today, let's see, one of your priorities might be something as simple as, you know what? Call my uncle. He's sick. He's sick in the hospital. He's a priority day. I gotta call him. Okay, I'm gonna call him by 1. That's a priority, right? A needle moving activity is an activity usually related more towards an output. Like an activity like, okay, something that moves the needle forward in your brand or your business. For me, as an example, a podcast episode, as simple as that sounds, might be a needle moving activity. Great, that moves the needle in growing our brand. Cool, episode done by 1. Oh, needle moving activity? That may mean a major email broadcast to my email list. Great, done by 1. Major needle moving activity? Call somebody who I'm going to do a business deal with, or who's going to be an affiliate promotional partner. Call is done by 1 because that was a needle moving activity, right? Something that moves the business or your life forward. Sometimes your priorities can be relationships. Your priorities can be handling things for your wife, your husband, your spouse, your partner, the kids. Those are priorities for the day. Those are just like, that's a priority. It has to get done today. And this specific day, it has to get done. It can't get done tomorrow because it wouldn't be a priority if it was tomorrow. Today, it's a priority, right? Priorities are today. So it's not just a to-do list, because lots of things on to-do lists. Like, I bet you've written to-do lists before. And isn't it true a to-do list sometimes for you carries over to tomorrow? Well, that's the difference between a priority and a to-do list. Follow? Because sometimes you write things on a to-do list, it's okay if you get them to it 3 days from now, 10 days from now, 50 days from now. A priority today. Urgent, immediate, necessary. Let's deal with it today. And not just emergency reaction, but you put it there. It was on your battle board. It was in your game plan. It's in your high performance planner. It's going to happen today. Got it? So this idea of done by one has really served me throughout my life. And I really want you to hear this, guys, because I can't be more honest about something than this one. I'm not a morning person. I'm absolutely not a morning person. And I still implement done by one mentality, even as I'm not a morning person. You know, some of you know me for a long time, or if you're new to the membership, I can welcome here. I'll tell you some things about myself once in a while as we do these. I'm kind of a nutty professor in the morning. You know, I wake up, you know, Denise is so happy and she's excited to do things, and I walk out into the kitchen and she's like, hi, and she hits me with a list of 74 things she's thought of and done. She's already downloaded from the universe all the obligations in the history of humanity as a woman, as a leader, as a wife, as a daughter, caregiver, family leader. She's already got it all down. And I'm kind of like, huh? Like my brain does not kick on. I think it used to kick on a little bit faster, but since 2011 when I had my brain injury, it's a little slower. I'm a little slow roll in the morning. And, you know, I don't turn to a cup of coffee usually. I just let my brain kind of wake up and I start, you know, moving my body. So some of you know my morning routine. I do 20 minutes of movement. So I do yoga, calisthenics, stretching, or a walk, or a jog, or just something for 20 minutes. And it's not my workout of the day. It's just to open up my body, get mobility, activate, right? Then I spend 20 minutes with a book, something good, something I can read that is inspiring, makes me think, it gets my brain turned on by reading. Then if I don't feel like reading, for any reason, if I don't feel like reading for the 20 minutes, I'll close my eyes, I'll visualize and think through the day. Then I'll spend 20 minutes with my high performance planner. And people are like, you spend 20 minutes with your high performance planner? And I think I've misspoken on that a few times, and you guys busted me on it, and it's okay. In that I spend 20 minutes with the high performance planner and usually like a battle board type thing. So I'll fill out the high performance planner. I'll consider the overall context of what I'm doing. So I'll flip more to those monthly pages in the high performance planner. And then I'll kind of sit there, I'll visualize, I'll think about it. Okay? I'll walk through the day. How could I do that activity with excellence today? How could I be really present today? What might trip me up today? The questions in the high performance planner. I'll take those on. And then as I do all that, I'll go, okay, I'm ready for the day now. You know, I'm ready for the day. And I get excited because that morning warm up, my body's open, my mind is open, my day is planned. Let's go. Before that though, I'm gonna, you know, and then bam. So I got to go through that hour in the morning, but then I'm ready to go. And then my mentality, that doesn't matter. If that happened, if I had a late night and it's 10 a.m. and I do that by 11 a.m., still, my question would be, okay, gosh, I'm only starting work here at 11 o'clock. Shoot, Brendon, it's 11 o'clock. I'm only starting at 11 o'clock, Brendon. Done by 1. What would you absolutely have to SWAT team by 1 p.m. to be done by 1? And I cannot tell you how powerful this mentality is. Because guess what it is? It's your insurance policy. Because if you finished your major priorities and your major needle moving activities by 1, then all the firefighting and emergency and reactive things you have to do the rest of the day, you got time for it. You know, you want to explore something, you want to get distracted and looking at something, hey, more power to you. You are done by 1. You want to deep dive into something you dork about, spend another hour on your passion, spend that extra 30 minutes at the gym today, no problem, done by 1. You follow how powerful this is? It's your insurance policy, getting it done by 1. I hope that you give it a try, guys. If you like this idea, if you do, and you achieve something awesome, use hashtag done by 1, hashtag HPX life. Let us know, Team HPX. We'd love to see what you're doing out there.
People in productivity always ask the first question. They say, well, Brendon, how do I evaluate things? Because I'm a productive person, but you know what happens to me is I keep getting distracted, or I keep I don't know which one to do. I've got 2 good options. I'm not sure which one to do. I'll share with you my shorthand. I got 2 frameworks that help me every single time. They're like back of napkins, things I can do that really help me decide between 2 different things, because I get offers all the time, as you can imagine. I'm like, it can be overwhelming. And so here's how I do it. Future value plus L. Oh, yeah, plus PD. Okay. This is my magical shorthand that helps me so much. The terms of any deal has to be less than ROI plus FV plus L plus PD. Okay, next up. Just checking if you're here. It's a super simple one. Okay, I got option A or option B. I'm gonna run them both through this equation, and whichever one wins is the one I'm most likely to choose. And if they're really close, I'll run them through the second framework I'm gonna show you. So the first one is easy. Time, energy, resources, money. This means the terms of any deal have to be less than. So in other words, what I put into something, whatever I put into something has to be less than what I think I'm gonna get out. How many follow? Very utilitarian, right? Very utilitarian value here. If I'm gonna put a bunch of stuff in, I better get more out, okay? And what I found is if I have a deal and I'm gonna put a bunch of time into it, or energy, or resources, or money, I better get more out of it. But what my magical thing was the S. This is the one no one ever thinks about, and everyone screws up, and they make a lot of decisions. A lot of utilitarian-minded people, very logical, strategic people, make decisions based on time, energy, resources, money, and they forgot the S in the equation, and you have too. Think about every bad decision you ever chose versus something else. You said, I wish I wouldn't have done that. You just did not consider this thing called sanity. How much time, energy, resources, money, and sanity am I gonna have to put into this thing? And I really gotta think about that, because how many of you ever did a deal with something where it literally, you had to work with someone who drove you insane? Great money, great output, but the input of my own sanity, it would have driven me crazy. Entrepreneurs make this mistake especially all the time. You don't think about how much craziness is gonna go into something. You just get attracted to the time, energy, resources, money. You're not thinking about the lifestyle or the community or other things that could really shape how sane it is, right? That's one thing I'm proud about with what we do with CHPC, is like, we make this a very sane, calming, comforting community. We step by step it, it's not scary, because I think a lot of other people, it's just easy to get attracted to things that drive you insane. And I think it's important for you all to care about your sane so you can bring the joy. Yes, okay. So whatever time, energy, resource, money, and sanity I put into something has to be, this is less than sign. I learned that in math once. Has to be less than what I get out of it in terms of ROI. You know what that means? Return on investment. So this is a straight 1-to-1. Whatever I put into it, I better get that out in investment. I better get that out. It better save me some time, build my energy, build my resources or my money, or I don't want to do it. That's straight up return on investment. And then FV is where most people fail to have strategy. FV stands for future value. Never do anything just for ROI. This is where they wreck kids in business school. They wreck them because we're still teaching straight up balance sheet mentality in the world. That's why our relationships are wrecked, because we're trying to have a balance sheet scorecard with our spouse. We're trying to equate things out with our spouses. How's that working for you? And so we start ruining our relationships because we are trying to get that balance sheet just even. And in real life, we want future value built into deals. I want you, if you're gonna do something, I want you to be able to look out and say, wow, that's gonna benefit me in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year. Like I can see how that piece right now, that's gonna be a building block that's gonna serve me later on. And if you can't see that, whatever deal you're doing as a stepping stone, don't do the deal. And especially don't get trapped in the idea of thinking whatever deal you're gonna do is a final stepping stone. Because a lot of people, especially when you're starting, you're like, that deal will change my life. That's it, that's all I need. I'll be good for life. That means your short-term survival thinking, not strategic growth thinking. When you start thinking about future value, you make very different decisions. Very, very different decisions. It makes you write different books. It makes you build different programs. It changes the way you sell. It changes the products that you build in your company. You gotta go back to future value thinking, including every little thing that you do. If you hire people, don't hire people to fill in a short-term need. Hire future value players. Can I get an amen on a Sunday? Right? Don't go out with somebody just because they're just there. Date future value people. Don't have short-term friends just because you need to lean on somebody who's a complainer. Create friendships with future value people. Your job is to always be honoring and protecting and standing at the gates as guard and champion of your future. Everyone raise your right hand, say, my future matters. My future matters. So I have to be strategic. So I have to be strategic. The way to be productive is to be more strategic. The way to be productive is to do the things that add future value. You got to look past the short term, go for the long-term plays, and the long-term value will change your life. Then if entrepreneurs typically suck at sanity in their evaluations, then on the other side, they always fail on the big L. Lifestyle. They'll take the deal because it's good time. It's energy. It's making a lot of money. It's not too crazy. It's not too crazy. I can handle it, but they're not thinking on the other side, boy, if I say yes to that, that means I'm gonna be working 20 more hours a week. Who's ever said yes to something that made you work 20 or 30 or 40 more hours a week and you didn't anticipate it? Yeah, I've been there too. And listen, is that related to your productivity, yes or no? Yes or no? Yeah. When you make decisions and you're not looking at the future value or thinking lifestyle, no wonder your short-term productivity is wrecked. Because you said yes or jumped into something that wasn't your thing. It wasn't of your character. It wasn't who you are. It wasn't the lifestyle you wanted to be. It wasn't who you wanted to become. And that's because you didn't take into account personal development either. You can't keep saying yes or keep evaluating things in like, well, that sounds good. Just because it's good, does it serve who you want to become?
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.